Welcome to the Crypt of Wax. Today we are talking Azathoth's Dream, Solitary Forest Necromancy. It's another solo project, Mike. It seems to be all we're covering these days on this channel.
I don't think it is.
Is it not?
No, I think it's two people.
Oh, in the promo pic, I can just see one guy.
Oh, is it? Well, on this album, by the looks of it, it doesn't say the band members. Well, hang on. I just was looking at his thing, and it says that there are two. There's a drummer. There's a guy called
Okay.
Necroblaster who plays
Great name.
drums, and then there's L. It's L or I. L. Azathoth, who does everything else.
So I'm assuming maybe he just got that guy in just to do the drums for this record, but
Potentially, I haven't heard any of his old stuff to know if it's got live drums on it or it's
well, we'll touch on his older stuff as we get going, because I did go back and have a little listen. But yeah, this is, full disclosure, new to this guy. This album just came out and we thought we'd cover it because it sounded up our street. It's kind of raw black metal, black ambient. It puts dungeon synth on there as well. So, I mean, it was
Is it that
right
raw?
up our... No, it's not. It's not too raw, is it? I guess it's... But his older stuff had a kind of raw atmosphere sound going on, but we'll touch on that later. But yeah, the album we are covering today is Solitary Forest Necromancy. I guess for those new here, we pick an album to discuss and then we go off and listen to it. We don't talk about it at all, and we save all our conversations for here, just so it feels a little bit more conversational. So Mike, straight off the bat, I want to ask you, how did you feel about this record?
I enjoyed it, man. I thought it was really good. It
Did
was
ya?
very melodic.
Very melodic.
There wasn't much evilness to the sound at all.
A couple bits here and there.
A couple of bits here and there. And there was one song, and I didn't write the note down for it now, but that had almost quite a haunting, kind of vampirific, but almost cartoony approach.
Coven of the Ancient Black Flame.
Is that the one? 6. Yeah, that one felt a little bit standout vibe-wise from the others.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it, man. I felt like it had that melodic black metal feel, but it wasn't necessarily in the same way you would go for like one of those kind of more black gaze bands. Like it was almost like sort of triumphant metal kind of approach to it, as opposed to more of like a shoegazy emo, second wave emo kind of approach to it.
Yeah, you feel like it could have gone that way very easily with a few different maybe effects and repeating of passages. Yeah. Like one thing that he does is like he never really revisits sections. I mean, the odd bit here and there, but there's a lot of lead lines going on. It's kind of like
loads.
lead line
into a new one.
Yeah, it's basically like six lead lines a song and then another song, and they don't really repeat. You just kind of moves through them. For me, is it too much of a bad thing? Because I feel like when he too much of a good thing, sorry, because when he kind of went to maybe just a straight chorded section, like that really stood out in moments. But then he would just kind of introduce a lead line again, and then it would fall back into that pattern of just his more lead. What's your take on that?
I kind of enjoyed I felt like there was a bit of a journey with some of these lead lines. I like that he would do things like incorporate some harmonies into places as well. Like you'd hear the lead line, but then he'd probably then change the lead line again, but then the harmony would come in over to the bit he changes to. And those sort of bits I really enjoyed. But you're right, even when he did the chords bits, it would often be he'd go onto the chord, but then half of it would still be a tremolo picked kind of line as well. But that was the sound, because from a production point of view as well, the guitars were very much up in the mix. You could tell that they were supposed to be the bit that he wanted you to pay attention to, because the vocals sat back quite a bit. The drums as well were fairly, I don't want to say buried, because they weren't, but they were a little bit further back than what the guitars were. There was a bass there as well. It sort of sat in nicely with everything, although you didn't really have that many moments where you pick the bass out individually. But I thought this album was good, man. I kind of enjoyed the vibe he was going for. I felt there were maybe some moments on it that I didn't enjoy as much as others, certain songs maybe.
Heed to Call was one I didn't really enjoy, track 8.
Yeah. The problem with Heed to Call was that there was moments of it when I was like, "Wow, this one's," because that was the most melodic of the songs on the album, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
there were
Yeah.
parts of it I kind of liked how melodic it was when maybe when the blasts were going, but he made a change at one point when it was the blasts were going, and then he went suddenly into that more upbeat beat, and
Yeah.
it almost sounded it almost sounded like it had been spliced in.
Snipped. Yeah, I thought that.
It didn't sound natural at all, and it's a
No.
real drummer obviously playing it, but it sounded like it was like dropped in, and it wasn't done well enough that you could hear almost that sort of slight dip or click in volume going before it went look at my hand before it went into it. Um, and yeah, actually that moment in the album was like, oh, it's kind of taken me out of this because it felt unnatural, whereas the rest of the album did feel quite a naturally recorded record.
Yeah, it did. I'm so on. I don't think I've ever been more on the fence on a record than this because
Really, I
when I
thought you would have
listened to
liked
it,
this.
I enjoyed it, but then it finished, and I couldn't remember anything from it. It was just
Yeah.
it it threw too many lead lines at me, and then I didn't really have an urge to kind of put it straight back on again. But that's not to say that I didn't enjoy it every time I listened to it. So I thought, okay, let me. There wasn't much dungeon synth on this, but on his Bandcamp he says he's dungeon synth. So I thought, let me go back and listen to an album. So I did the one. He released an album in March, actually, not too long ago.
A full length.
Infernal Necromantic Mysticism. This guy loves a bit of.
He loves necromancy, doesn't he? That has got to
He's a
get in
big
there.
necromantic,
He loves it.
necromantic romantic. Yeah.
He is.
Uh, but yeah, man, that was like basically a atmospheric dungeon synthy album. Not really black metal at all, but had that
Okay.
kind of. But it was like it had a lo-fi, like almost blown out production, like really evil, spooky melodies. I actually preferred that to this because I prefer that kind of black metal to be a little bit more dark and evil, and
Yeah.
that really hit that. So it's interesting. It's almost like two different bands. It's almost like he's got this as his kind of bit more triumphant melodic take, and then he's got a other version where it's just a lot more like lower dark end, uh, lower dark dungeon synth kind of vibe. It would be interesting to hear the two styles mix. I think that's where he would really elevate the sound.
Well, it's interesting you say that because it's interesting that the darker edge he goes for, he saves for the more dungeon synth project, and then when he's doing the black metal, that's the more kind of melodic, lighter, triumphant sort of sound. Um,
Yeah, you'd
I'm
expect it to
interested to
almost be the other way, wouldn't you?
well, yeah. I'm interested to hear this. Is it like when you say it's like the blown out production? Is it kind of like a more evil hole dweller in that sense, sonically?
Um, kind of, but not as whimsical. It's a lot more
No,
atmospheric.
I just mean sound wise, if you know what I mean, because his has kind of got that sort of blown out amp kind of feel to
Yeah,
it.
true. Yeah, but maybe amplified even more,
Oh,
and
really?
it's yeah, it's not always like that, but at least track one had that kind of
Yeah.
you know blown out thing. But yeah, listen to it and let me know what you think, man, because it was very different to this, but yeah, I think that is where this guy would like or band would really shine, man. Like a mix of these two things, because I loved moments of this. I'm trying to pick maybe a standout. Yeah, track 6, Coven of the Ancient Black Flame. I thought that one had a bit more of like a like you said, vampiric evilness to it, because there was a lead line, but it was a lot lower down the neck. It was like the tremolo was a lot lower, and I think that's probably why it felt a little bit fresher, because it was like the first time you ever heard something done a bit lower, because a lot of this record is played quite high up the neck, isn't it?
Yeah. It
And then
did
there
feel
was some.
different, that song, though. It did feel different in vibe, didn't it, to the rest?
Yeah, it did. And I really enjoyed the synth that was running underneath it. It was very simple, just kind of like a run of 3 notes up and down, but just added like a real vampiric atmosphere, I guess.
Yeah, I thought it was almost, and I liked it, but I thought it was almost quite cartoon-esque. It's
Yeah,
the
I know what
sort
you
of
mean.
it had that kind of organ sort of sound, didn't it? You see
Mm.
Count Duckula sort of awakening to it. But the
Yeah.
That was one thing I liked in his sound was he had like these synth lines pretty much running throughout, and they'd even maybe doing a counter melody, and they'd always be quite simple, or they
Yeah,
would just be kind of a couple of notes underneath, just sort of bulking out the sound. But I think it did a really good job. Um, and I think that what that did was stop it from going down that kind of that shoegaze, that black gaze kind of emo
yeah,
e route, having those synth lines underneath, I think kept it more into that kind of triumphant metal kind of feel as opposed to going that other way.
yeah. Because it could have, man. It could have very
Yeah.
easily gone that way, couldn't it? But yeah, like you say, I'm glad that he kind of kept it that kind of more old school. It did have like an old school feel to it, didn't it?
Yeah,
Um,
it did.
I just feel that it was just too much lead was my issue. But
That was your feeling of it.
that's my complaint. But I mean it was an enjoyable listen. That's what I'm saying. I'm so on the fence with this record because I enjoyed it start to finish. But
Yeah, I
then
enjoyed it.
as soon as it had finished, I didn't have a
No
desire to
interest.
listen to it again. Yeah,
No.
it was a strange listen to a strange album to sort of really wrap my head around.
So would you say that Coven of the Ancient Black Flame was probably your album highlight?
I think so. Yeah, I think so because it almost had a more evil sound, didn't it?
It
It was
did,
less.
but
I mean, it did go back to
yeah.
that
It did
sound.
actually. It made a change, didn't it, at some point, and then
Yeah,
kind of went back to what it was before. I you see, I didn't like that one as much because the mood felt
really.
so different, and I felt like the evilness was a little bit cartoony. Um,
But I quite like the whimsical element of that.
yeah, I know what you mean, but I felt like my mood, the mood that I got for the album was so different to that when it came in,
Yeah,
it stuck out to me not necessarily in a good way, even though I understand why it should have maybe needed to be there. Um,
yeah,
it felt like one of those, when you listen to some black metal bands that do this kind of melodic thing and they do it really well. I'm just trying to think of some albums. I know Tra do it, and some others. But when they change mood in the
yeah,
song, and those those
yeah,
those changes are so well done and brilliant, and they're able to change that mood, and they can kind of go between them. Like
yeah,
that's maybe something this album is lacking a little bit of, and would be quite cool to hear some more of that, where he moves it down a fret, and it's changed the mood into that more evil iciness slightly.
yeah.
Um, and you get that sort of journey and that sort of mix between light and dark.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. I think that's maybe what it was missing overall because it was very triumphant overall. But not to say that though, the album does start off with a very icy. You got these kind of like looping icy synth bells that sort of go on with these winds, which was
Yeah,
quite atmospheric. And according to the internet somewhere, there's a track 10, but that wasn't on his Bandcamp, which
wasn't
was a
his
bit
Bandcamp. It looks like
no
another interlude type one, judging by the.
the track length.
Maybe it's a bonus. Maybe it's a CD bonus.
Possibly yeah, a tape bonus. But yeah,
Exactly.
um, yeah. What was your standout then?
I really liked the title track,
Hmm.
and which it's hard to really distinguish why I like that one, because as you said, it's kind of a lot of the same thing. Um, there was a point in this track where he did bring in kind of bigger chords, and they were it was melodic chords, and the chord changes were very you know melodic. It wasn't him trying to sort of add in any kind of darkness to it, but it was not. It was nice. It kind of beefed up the sections of the song, and then
Yeah,
the song after it as well. I liked.
Malevolence Enshrined.
Yeah, that was another good one. I felt that maybe this album was. I felt like by the time I got to around track 6, I felt. I don't want to say that was enough because the rest of it was good, but it felt quite top heavy for me, if you know what I mean.
Yes. I mean, I know what you're saying, but at the same time, track 6 was probably my standout song, so can't necessarily fully agree with you there. But I enjoyed track 5 as well. I think it was maybe more middle heavy, to be perfectly honest, because
Yeah,
I really
maybe
enjoyed
that's it. Yeah,
Yeah, I enjoyed that Malevolence Enshrined. There was some cool tempo changes. You kind of would go from like a blast to this kind of a lot more straight up the kick snare moment, which was really cool. And then again, like I touched on those heavy chord moments that just felt very fresh after hearing so much lead.
Yeah.
And then I enjoyed track 7, exsanguinated and impaled. There were some really cool changes in that, and some cool synth lines that came in, and there was a really cool guitar harmony that sort of happened around that. It was really brief, but it was just nice to sort of hear some guitar melody there.
He did that quite a bit, which I liked. Like, it would bring in these odd little moments of harmony that you'd be like, "Oh, wow."
Yeah,
Um,
and then you wouldn't hear it again.
yeah, but then I think that's what made it good.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Okay, any more to say on this, Mike?
No, I think I've said my piece.
Said your piece. Go back and listen to Infernal Necromantic
I'm going to.
Mysticism. Yeah, let me know what you think. And listeners, check out both of the albums, maybe in tandem, and then
Yeah.
and let us know in the comments what you thought of this, because it's an interesting one for sure. But yeah, if you like what you heard, give us a like and a subscribe. We put up videos every Wednesday and Friday. But yeah, we'll catch you in the next one.